Have you ever felt that the more you chase something, the farther away it seems? The more you try to hold on to it, the quicker it slips through your fingers. The more you fear losing it, the more that fear dominates you. And then you realize you're exhausted, not because of life itself, but because of the constant tension of trying to control everything, all the time. Today, I want to share with you an idea that can completely change the way you desire. It's not about giving up your dreams, but about learning to desire lightly, without getting trapped in the anxiety of having to achieve. Before we continue, think of something you've been chasing intensely, maybe a new stage in your career, a deeper relationship, or a breakthrough in your financial life. Now ask yourself honestly, why do I want this? What am I hoping to feel when I get it? And most importantly, what is stopping me from experiencing that now? Maybe the problem isn't your goal, but the weight you've placed upon it. The Stoics taught that inner freedom is born when we stop trying to control what doesn't depend on us. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. When you let go, everything comes, not by magic, but because life flows better when you stop blocking it with your obsession for control. Lesson 1. The paradox of the chase. The more you try to force peace, the more chaos you create. The more you try to control everything, the more out of control you feel. That's the paradox of the chase. Excessive effort turns into the very obstacle that prevents progress. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic masters, said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, want them to happen as they do happen, and you will live in peace." But most of us do the opposite. We push life with force, try to accelerate time, demand immediate answers, beg for guarantees. And when the world doesn't respond as we hoped, we sink into frustration. The peace you're searching for isn't found in force, it's found in surrender. Think of it this way, your mind is like a lake that reflects the moon. If you stick your hands into the water, trying to grab the reflection, you only stir up the surface and lose the image. But if you stop, breathe, let go, the water calms and the reflection of the moon returns, clear and serene. Life works the same way. What you try to control anxiously slips away. What you receive with trust flows naturally. Letting go isn't giving up, it's shifting your stance. It's moving away from fear and anchoring yourself in clarity. When you release the obsession with control, something within you reorganizes. Anxiety weakens, tension disappears, and what once seemed unreachable begins to draw closer naturally. This isn't magic, it's wisdom in action. Stoicism doesn't tell you to abandon your dreams or renounce your goals, but it does invite you to release that blind need for control and to accept reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Because it's in acceptance that your true strength begins. Acting out of fear makes you desperate and reactive. Acting out of trust allows you to choose with firmness, and that changes your results. Seneca said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future." That phrase is a code of wisdom, because the one who lives at peace with the present is never a slave to what has not yet come. So calm down. Stop running after happiness as if it's hiding somewhere outside of you. Happiness is born when you stop fighting the reality of now. You don't need to beg for love, prove your worth, or carry guilt. Stoic acceptance isn't passivity, it's clarity. It's focusing on what truly matters. It's the courage to trust life without clinging to the illusion of control. And when you understand this, something changes. A new kind of strength is born, not a scream or a struggle, but balance and direction. As Andy Warhol once said, as soon as you stop wanting something, you get it. Lesson 2. What is yours comes when you are complete. One of the most dangerous illusions we carry is thinking that we will finally feel complete once we achieve that thing. Once I find the right person, once I have the right job, once I earn a certain amount of money, once I reach this milestone, then I'll be at peace. But the truth is, If you approach life from a place of emptiness, nothing you achieve will fill you. You'll get what you thought you wanted, but the feeling of lack will return sooner than later because you were expecting the outside to fix what only the inside can resolve. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that means true freedom doesn't come from accumulating external things, but from becoming whole inside yourself. Think about it. How many times have you finally gotten what you wanted, only to feel restless again after a short while? That's because desire without inner stability is like pouring water into a broken container. It never holds. The Stoics remind us that external things are neither good nor bad in themselves. They are indifferents. What matters is the use you make of them, and above all, the state of your soul when you receive them. If you feel incomplete without a partner, you'll cling desperately when you find one. If you feel incomplete without money, you'll never feel you have enough. If you feel incomplete without recognition, every criticism will shatter you. But if you arrive whole, if you already value yourself, already practice gratitude, already nurture your inner peace, then whatever comes will add to your life, not define it. You'll enjoy it, but you won't be enslaved by it. Seneca said, "He who is content with little is master of the world." Because the person who needs little is not fragile. He doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't sell his soul for scraps of approval. He lives from fullness, not from lack. So, instead of obsessing about when something will come, work on becoming complete now. Build your discipline, strengthen your character, cultivate your peace of mind. Because when you are whole, what's meant for you arrives naturally, and even if it doesn't, you're still unshaken. Here's the paradox. The moment you no longer need it to define you, you become ready to receive it. Because now, you don't cling, you choose, you don't beg, you attract. So repeat this as a reminder. What is mine will come, but I don't need it to be complete. Because true abundance is not in what arrives, but in what you already are when it arrives. Lesson 3. Desire less, live more. One of the greatest sources of suffering is wanting too much. The mind is always inventing new desires, things we don't yet have, experiences we haven't lived, objects we don't own. And the more we accumulate desires, the heavier our existence becomes. Seneca warned, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Because a person who cannot control desire is condemned to endless dissatisfaction. Think of it. You buy something new, and for a few days, you feel happy. But then your mind invents the next desire, and suddenly what you have feels insufficient. You reach one goal, and instead of celebrating, you already feel restless for the next. That's not progress. It's slavery disguised as ambition. The Stoics were not against pleasure, success, or possessions. They simply reminded us that desiring without measure creates chains. Because every new desire comes with new fear, fear of not getting it, fear of losing it, fear of not being enough. Freedom, therefore, is not found in having more, but in needing less. Imagine how light life becomes when your peace no longer depends on how much you have, when your sense of worth doesn't change with trends, when your joy doesn't wait for external rewards. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Happiness isn't in adding, but in simplifying. To desire less doesn't mean renouncing life. It means choosing carefully what is truly worth your energy. Instead of filling your mind with 1,000 empty desires, you focus on the few that really matter, the ones aligned with your values. So ask yourself, do I really want this, or am I just chasing what others value? Will this truly make me freer, or will it tie me down with new worries? The day you dare to desire less, you begin to live more. You discover gratitude for what you already have. You taste peace without needing excess. You find wealth not in accumulation, but in sufficiency. Write it down as a principle. I prefer few desires with depth, over many with emptiness, because that's where true abundance lies, in knowing that little is enough and that peace doesn't come from outside, but from within. Lesson 4. Detach from the outcome, focus on the process. Most of our frustration doesn't come from what we do, it comes from obsessing over results we cannot fully control. We want guarantees that our effort will be rewarded, that our plans will unfold perfectly, that others will respond exactly as we expect. But life doesn't work like that. Outcomes are influenced by countless factors outside our control: luck, timing, other people's decisions, circumstances we couldn't predict. If your happiness depends on the result, you will always live at the mercy of what you cannot command. Epictetus taught, "Some things are up to us and some are not." The outcome is never fully up to us, but the process always is. Your discipline, your effort, your consistency, your attitude, those belong entirely to you. Think about an athlete. He can train every day, follow the best strategies, give his maximum effort, but the victory doesn't depend solely on him. It also depends on the competitor, the conditions, even chance. If his joy depends only on winning, he will suffer more than he grows. But if his joy is in the training, in the discipline, in the progress, then every day is already a victory. The Stoic way is to love the process, not the outcome. To focus on your actions, not on the applause. To value your growth, not just the final result. Because the process is always within your reach, the outcome is not. Marcus Aurelius said, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." That means your task is not to predict or control results, but to prepare yourself, moment by moment, with the discipline to act rightly, whatever the outcome. Detaching from results doesn't mean you stop aiming high. It means you stop suffering for what you can't command. You set the goal, yes, but you fall in love with the journey that takes you there, because that's the only part that is truly yours. So write this down as a commitment. I will focus on the process, not the outcome. Because results come and go, but the person you become through the process stays with you forever. Lesson 5. Acceptance is the beginning of freedom. We often confuse acceptance with resignation, as if accepting reality meant giving up or doing nothing. But for the Stoics, acceptance is not weakness, it is clarity. Acceptance means seeing reality exactly as it is, without illusions, without masks, without resistance. Because only when you accept what is, can you decide wisely what to do next. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Most of the time, suffering doesn't come from events, but from the stories we tell ourselves about them. Something happens, and instead of calmly responding, we add layers of, "This shouldn't be happening to me. Why always me? This is unfair." And with that resistance, pain multiplies. Acceptance is not liking everything. It's not applauding injustice or pretending you don't care. Acceptance is saying, "This is what is happening. I may not like it, but denying it won't change it. What matters now is how I respond." When you fight against reality, you always lose. When you accept reality, you regain your strength. Because then, instead of wasting energy wishing things were different, you use that energy to act where you can truly make a difference. Seneca said, "A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not." Contentment isn't passivity, it's intelligence. It's understanding that the present moment is the only terrain on which you can actually build. Think of a sailor. He doesn't control the wind. He doesn't complain that the wind isn't blowing the way he wants. He accepts the wind as it is and then adjusts his sails. That's acceptance, not giving up, but adapting with wisdom. So, next time something unexpected happens, instead of resisting, pause and ask yourself, "Can I change this? If yes, act. If not, accept and move forward. That is the key to peace. Write this down as a personal mantra. I accept reality as it is and act where I can. Because acceptance doesn't chain you, it frees you from the illusion of control and gives you back the serenity to live fully. Lesson 6. Patience is power. We tend to think of patience as something passive, waiting, enduring, holding back. But the Stoics understood patience as one of the greatest forms of strength, because patience isn't weakness, it's control over yourself. Impatience, on the other hand, is a form of slavery. When you're impatient, you're ruled by anxiety. You want everything now. And when reality doesn't bend to your timeline, you suffer. You react impulsively, make bad decisions, and often end up sabotaging yourself. Seneca warned, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." Everything meaningful in life requires time. Building character, cultivating wisdom, creating deep relationships, developing mastery in a craft. The problem is, in a world of instant gratification, we've forgotten how to wait without desperation. But patience is not about doing nothing. Patience is active. It's knowing when to act, when to hold, when to let the process unfold. It's trusting that seeds take time to grow, and that forcing them to sprout faster only destroys them. Think about it. Many of your mistakes likely came from impatience, speaking before thinking, quitting too early, rushing into something unprepared. And many of your best outcomes came because you endured, you gave things time, you waited until the right moment. Marcus Aurelius said, "Time is a sort of river of passing events, and strong is its current. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept by and another takes its place, and this too will be swept away." Patience gives you perspective. It allows you to see that no situation lasts forever, that both pain and joy are temporary, and that wisdom lies not in rushing, but in flowing with time. So the next time you feel the itch of impatience, remember, every great work, every transformation, every fruit of life requires its season. You can water the seed, nurture it, protect it, but you cannot demand it to bloom before its time. Write this down as a reminder. Patience is my strength. Because the one who can wait without despair, act without rushing, and trust the rhythm of time, that person holds true power. Lesson 7. Detach from people, not from love. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning to love without clinging, to give yourself fully to others without making them the condition of your peace. The Stoics knew that attachment based on fear is a chain. If your happiness depends on someone else never leaving, never changing, never failing you, then you are not loving, you are depending. And dependence always ends in suffering. Epictetus said, "When you kiss your child, say to yourself, 'Tomorrow he may die.'" To modern ears, this sounds cold, even cruel, but the teaching is profound. Love deeply, but remember that everything and everyone is mortal. Nothing is fully in your possession. True love is not about control, it is about presence. It's appreciating someone while they are here, without pretending they belong to you. It's being grateful for every moment, instead of living in fear of losing them. Attachment says, "I need you in order to be okay." Love says, "I am whole, and I choose to share my wholeness with you." When you detach from people in the Stoic sense, you are not becoming cold or indifferent. You are freeing both yourself and them from chains of expectation. You are saying, "I love you, but I don't need to own you. I value you, but my peace does not depend on controlling you." Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." That is the essence of love without chains. Enjoy what is given, but do not cling when it passes. Think about the pain most people carry: heartbreaks, betrayals, disappointments. Much of that pain is not from love itself, but from expectation. The expectation that others must behave according to our script, stay forever, never change. When they don't, we feel broken. But when you detach, you still love, you still give, you still feel deeply, but you don't collapse when life takes its natural course. You know that nothing is truly yours, except your own soul, and that makes you freer to love with purity, without fear. So write this as a practice. I love without clinging, I give without chains. Because real love is not born from possession, it's born from freedom. Lesson 8. Gratitude transforms what you have into enough. One of the greatest sources of restlessness is always believing that what you have is not enough. Your mind is constantly saying, when I have more, then I'll be happy. When I achieve this, then I'll rest. When I get there, then I'll feel complete. But that game never ends. As soon as you reach one goal, your mind invents another. As soon as you get what you thought you needed, the feeling of emptiness creeps back in. It's an endless race. The Stoics proposed a radical antidote: gratitude. Not as a shallow exercise of counting blessings, but as a profound recognition that what you already have is more than enough to live well. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Poverty is not measured by possessions, it is measured by the hunger of the soul. And a grateful soul is never poor. Gratitude is not passive, it transforms the way you live. When you truly see the value of the people around you, you treat them with more love. When you recognize the abundance in your life, you stop wasting energy in envy. When you appreciate the present, you no longer postpone your joy to an imaginary future. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude is not waiting for something extraordinary, it's realizing the miracle in the ordinary. Think about it. How many things do you already have today that you once desperately wished for? How many comforts, relationships, or opportunities are already in your life that you barely notice because your mind is chasing the next thing? Gratitude doesn't mean giving up on growth or ambition. It means building from sufficiency, not from lack. It means saying, I already have enough to be at peace, and if more comes, it will be a gift, not a necessity. So here's a Stoic practice. Every day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Not just possessions, but moments, people, abilities, even difficulties that have taught you something. Over time, you'll train your mind to see abundance instead of scarcity. Write this as a reminder. What I have today is enough. Because when gratitude becomes your lens, life stops feeling like a constant chase and starts feeling like a gift. Lesson 9. Silence brings clarity. In a world full of noise, silence has become a luxury. Everywhere you go, there's constant distraction, notifications, conversations, opinions, endless information. And in the middle of all that noise, the quietest and most important voice, your own reason, gets drowned out. The Stoics valued silence not as emptiness, but as space for clarity. Epictetus advised, "Be silent for the most part, or if you speak, say only what is necessary and in few words." Silence wasn't just about speaking less, it was about creating room to think, to listen, to see reality without distortion. Noise makes you reactive. Silence makes you reflective. When you're surrounded by constant chatter, you absorb other people's fears, desires, and judgments. But when you step into silence, you return to your own center. You separate what is yours from what is not. Think about how many mistakes you've made by reacting too quickly, by speaking without thinking, by acting out of impulse. And now think of those moments when you paused, breathed, reflected before acting. How much wiser your decision was. That's the power of silence. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, constantly reminded himself to retreat inward. He wrote, Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. For him, silence wasn't isolation, it was returning to the place where clarity and strength are born. In practical terms, this means cultivating small moments of quiet every day. Putting aside your phone, closing the door, sitting in stillness, even if just for a few minutes. It's in that silence that your mind settles, that your true priorities emerge, and that wisdom begins to guide you instead of noise. Silence also teaches humility. When you learn not to rush to speak, you listen better. You notice more. You understand others instead of just waiting for your turn to reply. And that makes your words, when you do choose to speak, carry more weight. So write this as a practice. I will seek silence to find clarity. Because silence isn't emptiness, it's the space where truth can finally be heard. Lesson 10. Everything arrives when you stop chasing. At the heart of Stoic wisdom is this paradox. The more you desperately cling to something, the further it seems to slip away. But when you let go, when you stop begging, stop obsessing, stop forcing, life flows more naturally, and often what you were seeking finds its way to you. This doesn't mean sitting back and waiting for life to hand you everything. The Stoics were not passive. They valued action, discipline, and effort. But they also understood that clinging, making your peace depend on an outcome you don't fully control, is a recipe for misery. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly, if you seek tranquility, do less, or rather, do what is essential. In other words, stop scattering your energy chasing every desire. Focus on what matters, act with virtue, and then let go of the rest. Think of water in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. But if you hold it gently, it stays. Life is like that. When you stop suffocating it with fear and desperation, it has space to flow toward you. When you stop chasing, people respect you more because you're no longer begging for approval. Opportunities come more naturally because you act from calm, not from fear. Peace arrives because you've stopped fighting reality. The key is this: you don't let go of goals, you let go of neediness. You still walk your path, but without the chain of desperation. You still desire, but you desire lightly, without anxiety. Epictetus taught, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And nothing enslaves you more than chasing what is not entirely in your hands. So instead of running, breathe. Instead of clinging, trust. Instead of begging, build yourself. When you stop needing so much, you discover that you already have enough, and from that fullness, life begins to bring you what truly belongs to you, without force, without despair, without chains. Write this as your conclusion: what is mine will come, and until then, I am at peace. Because the greatest paradox of all is this: when you no longer need to chase, you finally begin to attract.